is the only friend you're going to, because I felt like I knew the people in the shows I watched every day, because that's the only communication I had with people is through the TV. So I felt like I knew people on shows that I would watch. And I said, Lord, if this TV is the only friend you're going to allow me to have, will you somehow make it a blessing? And I just said that prayer, but I didn't believe it, because my mom taught me that the TV is Satan's toy. That's the boop tube or whatever they call it. That's Satan's tool, right? So how is that going to be, the big black mirror? How's that going to be a blessing to me? Man, let me tell you, within 3 days of saying that prayer, and I didn't even say it earnestly, I just kind of said it in passing, Lord, make this TV a blessing if that's the only friend you're going to get. Within 3 days, I figured out how to put YouTube on my TV. And this was before smart TVs. Man, I was blown away. Like, what? Like, oh, man, I found people like Alex Jones and all his conspiracy theories that I loved. Oh, my gosh, I loved Alex Jones. I found people that believe the earth is flat, man. And then I stumbled upon these preachers. Oh, my gosh. Like, I grew up in church, and I had never heard Bible stories like I heard on the internet. Like, there's everything out there, but they start talking about talking donkeys and fish that Jesus needed the temple tax. He freaking spits a coin out of his mouth so he can pay the temple tax. What? They talked about fallen angels that came down from heaven, had sex with human women, and produced offspring as giants. What? They didn't teach me this in Sunday school. And man, I was blown away. There's demons. There's everything in that Bible. And I would sit just with my jaw open, listening to these YouTube videos and sewing and cutting pattern. And I work for 8-9 hours a day, just listening and listening. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, why didn't I ever hear about this stuff before? And I was blown away. My life was changed. And so I kept listening to these people. And then after a while, a couple of them started talking about a conference that was coming to Dallas in March. This was October, right? They started talking about this conference coming to Dallas in March. And I thought, oh, I got to go to that, man. I feel drawn. So I went online. It was like $100. So I'm like, I ain't paying $100, man. I ain't no fool, I ain't going to pay for some preacher's helicopter pad in his backyard. Mama didn't raise no idiots here. Anyway, so I didn't, but I just kept being drawn to this conference. So I ended up buying the tickets. I printed it out on my printer, went to my wall counter, and I flipped to March, hung the ticket on the calendar, and then I went back to work, listening to all these preachers and stuff like that. And man, things were just going great. I was getting into the Word, hearing all these stories, learning things I'd never heard. And then my buddy calls me. He's like, "Hey, Dave, I got bad news." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "I got kicked out of my shop." I'm like, "What? What do you mean you got kicked out of your shop?" I don't even remember the story, but he was a meth addict, not the most dependable people in the world, right? So I said, man, he had like 8 jobs of mine. So I said, well, man, he's like, "I got to come back to your place and do the work." I'm like, I said, that's fine, but don't you dare bring meth over here. I said, I got, 3 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever it was clean at the time, man. You can get high as a kite before work. You can go at lunch, get high. I don't care, man. Cause I know you got to have it to function, but don't you dare bring it over to my house. All right, deal. Man, within the first week, I'd walk out the shop. He'd be holding up a bag of meth going, "Does that look like a gram or did I get ripped off, man?" I'm like, "Are you kidding me? I lost my son and you're going to tempt me with meth or what? Are you I just want to make sure I didn't get ripped off." And this just kept happening, but I didn't feel like I had a choice because I had to have money coming in and he was doing my work. But anyway, one day I'm sitting I'm sitting in my office and he walks in the door and he says, "Hey, man, I'm running to Walmart. I'll be right back," and tosses me something, turns around and walks out. Well, by the time it hits my hand, he's out the door and gone, and it hits my hand. It's a loaded meth pipe. And I stood there and I just started shaking, and I don't really remember what happened except I got high. I remember that part. Like, I don't know how long I sat there and freaked out, but I ended up getting high. I wasn't that strong. So I got high, and then I had a good time at first, and then I was like, "What are you doing, man? You're supposed to get your son back. Like, what are you doing, man?" Then I started freaking out. Then I'm like, no, it's cool. We slipped, no big deal. Just get yourself back up again. We'll sleep tonight. And I didn't sleep that night because I hadn't done meth in a month and a half or whatever. So I was up all night long, and then I felt like I had to hit it a little bit the next day just so I could work right back in the saddle. right back in the saddle. Next thing I know, I lied to myself for 3 or 4 days thinking I can get back off. I was right back in. And so then I hated myself. Then I knew I let my son down. I knew I let myself down. And I started putting every drug I could in me. I didn't care if I was alive or dead. I didn't care. I didn't know what day it was most days. I didn't know my name. I mean, I was bad off. Like, I pushed it to a whole nother level because I didn't care, because now I had lost my son forever. And, I can remember driving to the meth house, at least 3 or 4 times, and driving my truck and crying so hard that I couldn't see the road. And I'd have to pull my truck over on the side of the road, and I would sit and yell at God. I would say, "Where are you? Like, what kind of a God are you? Like, are you even God at all? I mean, like, you create heaven and earth, but you can't deliver a meth addict? What, are you kidding me?" And I would yell and scream at him because I was so mad at him. I was so angry that he wouldn't deliver me from this meth addiction. And then I'd wipe the tears out of my eyes, man, and I'd get back on the road, and I'd drive over that dope house so I could get my meth, so I could get up in the morning, so I could get the work done, so I could deliver the work and make money, so I could go back to the meth house, so I could get my meth, so I could get up in the morning, so I could get work done, so I could deliver the furniture, get some more money, so I could go back to the dope house. And it's just like I was on this roundabout, man. There are no exits, and I just wanted off. I just wanted off. I was stuck, and I couldn't do anything about it except just go around and around and around. I just wanted to kill myself. I hated myself. I hated life, man. And so one day I'm sitting at my desk, smoking a meth pipe, and it was into February, and I thought, it's the last day of February. I'll change the calendar to March. I flipped it up, and there's that stupid ticket. I went, "What is that?" And I didn't know what it was at first. And I pulled it off, and I read it, and you gotta be kidding me, man. You idiot. Oh, my God, you sucker. They saw you coming. Like, you paid $100 to go listen to somebody preach, you idiot, man. I was so mad at myself. And then that voice inside said, "Remember how much you enjoyed those videos? Remember the hope you felt? I was like, oh, I could vaguely remember, but I think I remembered liking those. That's why I bought the tickets, right?" And then the other voice is like, "Shut up, man. You're not going to Bible conference. You're a drug addict." And I was like tweaked out. Like, people pointed at me walking down the street because I was so strung out. I was one of those people that is very obvious because I was that high and had been strung out for so long. And the enemy's voice would be like, what are you going to go hang out with a bunch of freaking Jesus freaks, a bunch of straight people in your condition? You can't do that, right? And I just had this battle going on. And so anyway, I decided that I was going to go to that conference with the sole purpose of getting my money back, because I was out of dope and I needed some more meth, and I thought I paid $100 for that ticket. I'm gonna get there early, because if I get there like halfway through the day, they might not let me get my money back. So I stayed up all night that night and went and got there early. And I said, "I need my money back. Here's my ticket." And they said, "Sorry, sir, no refunds." And I'm like, "No, you don't understand. I need the money back. I need it. My water's off," or whatever. And they wouldn't give me a refund. And so I thought, well, I'm here. I paid for the conference. I'll sit down and at least listen for 20, 30 minutes. And so I sat down and I started listening to these speakers, and the truth just started sinking into my heart again. And I was like, wow. Now I remember why I bought these tickets. And so I started listening to these speakers, and I was probably only into the second speaker, and I caught myself nodding off. And then I was like, "Oh no, dude, you can't be nodding off on drugs, right? You're a bunch of Christians, no, and so I went, and I'd heard enough to know I wanted to keep listening to the conference. So I went and got the live stream, and I drove myself back home. And then I'd come here, and I'd sit in my office and sit and smoke meth and do lines while I'm watching this Bible conference because I couldn't stay awake over there a whole day, right? And And so I started listening, and then I'd get up in the morning and I'd get as high as I could in the morning. Then I'd drive over to Grapevine and I'd sit and listen to speakers, for 1 or 2 or 3 speakers until I'd start nodding off, till the meth started wearing off. And then I'd get myself up and I'd drive home and I'd sit and smoke meth and watch this conference. And then they start talking about baptism. And see, I was looking for a reason I was there, because I knew how drawn I was to buy the tickets to the conference. So I knew I was there for a specific reason. And I was looking for it. I thought maybe it was a specific speaker, like they're going to say something that's going to profoundly change my life or something. I don't know. But I couldn't. So far, nothing had happened. And then they mentioned baptisms. I'm like, oh, snap, man. Maybe that's why I'm here. Maybe I'm supposed to get baptized. So I called my dad. I'm like, Dad, I'm thinking about getting baptized again. What do you think about that? He said, you don't need to. You were baptized when you were 8. You don't need to do it again. You're good. I'm like, well, maybe that's not why I'm supposed to be here. But I had found no other reason why I was there, and I knew there was a reason. So that night, Saturday night, it was a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night or conference, and Sunday morning were baptisms. So Saturday night, man, I stayed up late smoking meth and popping Xanax and smoking marijuana and just contemplating whether I'm going to get baptized or not the next day, because I didn't know, man. And I had that battle going on inside me again. And so I stayed up till like 4 or 5 in the morning. And so, of course, I slept through my alarms in the morning. And then I woke up, it was like 10 o'clock. I'm like, oh, man, you idiot. God, no one never going to know. What if that was the reason you were supposed to go there today? And then that hope popped up, and I thought, you know what? I might be able to make it, It started at 8, but it's only 10. Maybe they haven't done it yet. So, man, I got high as I could, did all the rest of the meth that I had in the world, and got high as I could, and jumped in the truck, drove to Grapevine, Texas. I got there, and they were at the Hilton Inn there in Grapevine, and they were already baptizing people when I got there. And I had my backpack with clothes in it, because I didn't know if I was going to do it or not. I was going to be prepared. And so I thought, man, I better get changed, man. That line's going fast, just in case I want to do it. And I'm get changed, I get in line, I'm standing there I don't know what to do. I don't know. Should I do it? Should I? Next thing you know, I'm up. I'm like, okay, well, guess I'll go. I mean, I'm here. What's it going to hurt, right? And so I walked down into the waters of baptism. I told that preacher, and I was dead serious. I was serious as a heart attack. I said, brother, do you mind holding me under the water a little bit longer than you hold everybody else? Because I'm dirty, man. And I walk clean. And he said, you got it, brother. And he laughed because he thought I was joking, but I was dead serious, man. Whatever it took, just hold me under until I can't breathe. I don't care. I want to be clean, man. And so I got baptized, man. I went in, I came out.
So bring me to that moment. You're in that line. You said to the pastor, just put me down in there a little bit longer. I want to be clean.
Yeah.
And you go in the water. What happened?
All right. So I got baptized, and I don't know if he held me under the water longer or not. I got baptized, and I came out expecting, and nothing happened, man. And I thought, and then they pushed me out of the pool and put a towel around me and got the other one in, and I went and sat in a chair on the side, just dripping with water, thinking, man, you're such a fool, man. You're such an idiot. You bought into this fairy tale in the sky BS is what I told myself, what were you expecting? And I don't know what I was expecting. I just expected something. The Bible says that Jesus got baptized and God said, behold my son whom I'm well pleased. That would have worked for me. That would have been fine. But I got nothing, man. Angels are sick. I don't know, man. But I came out feeling defeated. And I just thought, you idiot. And I went home that day feeling that way because nothing happened when I come out of the water. But let me tell you something. Something happened when I was in the water, because I went in as a strung out meth addict, and I was high on meth at the time. And I went in and I came out, and that's been 9.5 years ago. I never once had a desire for meth again after that point. Mm-hmm. I came out and I was just able to lay down when I got home and sleep the meth off. I slept for a month. And then I came out, I got out of bed, and I was standing in my garage, and the Lord took me back to that day, a month earlier. That morning before I went to the conference, that was the last time I ever did meth, and I did all the meth I had. I cleaned the pipe, everything. I had nothing, no paraphernalia, nothing laying around. And then I got home, had a falling out with one of my dealer friends, the guy that was working for me. Just everything worked perfect. And before, I'd sleep for 2 or 3 days, and then I'd get up in a panic. I got to get work done. I got to get I just laid down, slept it off for a month. So I was standing in my garage like a month later after I'd slept it all off. And the Lord showed me that morning, and I got filled with the Holy Spirit right there in my garage. It was like the light shined down from heaven right then. Like I didn't feel it in the water, but that day standing in my garage, man, it was like a light shining down on me from heaven. And I just come bubbling over, man. I was like, I called my sister, like, I got a testimony to share. Like, will your people let me come share? I don't know any church people. I didn't know. I was like, somebody's got to hear my story. And all I knew was I was a meth addict. I went and got baptized, and now I'm not. That was my whole story. I didn't know all.